Diego, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you being here. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good as well. I'm just happy to see you. Thank you for your time. I'll just jump straight into the question I ask every guest whenever the podcast starts. Who is Diego outside of your profession? Outside of being a real estate entrepreneur? We want to know who you are. I want to know who you
I want to know too, man. I'm still working on it, man. Nowadays there's a lot of things, man. A lot of social expectations, a lot of things, a lot of things that people have been brainwashed as social expectations of who you are and who you are not. So I guess it's a process to figure out, what is it, what you do, is it, what you're trying to a purpose that you're driven to, so it's a work in process, in progress. So I'm currently um investing in real estate, learning, trying to connect with as much people as I can, trying to help others. Just recently I was doing trying to work with a, I guess it's sort of a coach, trying to put like what's my vision, sort of my vision statement of who I am or the way I do things. So it was kind of cool that to come to a conclusion that I like to somehow I try to avoid conflict, and I like to just try to help people, as a from the heart, to try to help you out in whichever way I can. So yeah, so it's a work in progress to try to put a definition of who I am, but just trying to do my best out there, man. Every day is a new day. So
It's a great answer. What I want to know who you are or what you like. Can you tell us your hobbies, your what do you do? What do you like to do in your free time? And also maybe an interesting fact about yourself.
man, something I enjoy. I enjoy playing racquetball. So I've been about taking a break from it, just life, but something I enjoy doing. So free time, man. Lately, I don't know what free time is, man. There is some kind of free time to do some, things at home and things like that. But I don't have a. I think racquetball is like the main thing that I enjoy doing. And last time I was playing at a sort of a daily activity, I hurt my knee, so I haven't been back yet. So yeah.
I could feel that you're doing the grind when you said that. What is free time? We're all trying to do the grind. I appreciate that. And like, what is the grind for you? And what I just want to jump straight into it. What keeps you going? Because it seems like you're a big motivator. I've seen your posts, and honestly, those quotes were amazing. A lot of it really resonated with me, especially you don't need. I read this in one of your posts. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a committed first move. Can
Yeah.
we? Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because that really resonated with me.
Yeah, man. It's some of those. I think I see those posts that, and I'm still trying to set it up, but it's sort of a reminder, daily reminder of things that you've learned, or that I've learned on my personal development, of trying to always look positive, the positive side of things, or whatever situation it is, and sticking to doing the work. Just like Nike said it. Just do it. Sometimes we get scrambled on different things, and kind of goes back to the social things. Or you got to do this, you got to do that. Fear of missing out on this and this, and it's like, listen, man, just always look at the positive side of a situation, whatever it is. And it's kind of, whatever you set your mind to, that's what one way or another is gonna set. So going back to that specific quote, yeah, man, just it's kind of that the shiny objects are always around you. So it's just kind of, like, have you seen those horses that they put out? I forgot what they call those things on the sides of on the side of the eyes. Has a name for it, I forgot, but it's kind of like that, just kind of have obviously a understanding of your surroundings, but just keep focused on what you're set to do. Whatever your goals are, yeah, just kind of stick with it and do the work. Lately, actually, it's interesting. Lately, I saw a video yesterday. I like to watch a lot of those videos of building homes and people doing their own things on homesteading and things like that. Crazy, you learn a lot on how to build a house. But there's this guy that has a motto where it's just do the hard things, and I was like, huh, interesting, because it's kind of life is it's about that, Sometimes you have the two choices, right? Pick the easy one that everybody's doing and stay on the same position you are or worse, or just do the hard thing and you're gonna find out that it wasn't that hard at all, and things more opportunities are gonna open up from there. So something I've had just in the past few days is do the hard thing.
Well, I want to dive into that, but I want to go back to that because I want to pivot back to your story. How did you get
Mhm.
into real estate? What was your first job? Can you tell us your journey and how you got here? How you got to be a real estate entrepreneur?
Yeah, man. So I had like a little bit over 10 years of experience as a software developer. That's what I was doing for my W-2. I actually jumped into that because computers is what that's where the money was at a couple years ago. So, it wasn't a passion, but I was good at it. So I got in, I went to school and I did the work. So, but I got a good job a couple years back, and then I decided, I needed my space to work. So, and I knew I needed to do something different to make a difference one way or another. I didn't know how. Um, so I moved away from the city, just maybe an hour away, but I moved kind of like from the usual partying and the usual friends staying in the same situation. So because I wanted to, join a different crowd, do something different. Ended up purchasing my first home. No experience whatsoever in real estate. I did it the traditional way, and then a few months later, I learned about the creative community for real estate. And then from there, I was like, okay, shit, that was it. Like, I wish I would have known about it maybe a week before I got my home, but it was like, hey, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for something different, something that would take me to the next level. Um, and that's where it started, man. I joined that community, started learning, kind of got stuck on the learning process of trying to understand because a lot of people say it's from the software engineering background of trying to understand how the whole process works before jumping in and doing the work. Um, but man, a couple of years passed, and then I found a deal that put me to do dispositions in the wholesale game. And I was like, man, I like doing this. I like this process, and I just stick with that. Was able to join a good team that I'm a part of right now, and been doing that for like 2 years now. So that's where I'm at right now. That's a quick summary, but okay, we can go more in detail. Yeah,
Yes, but usually I'd say, of course, the cash too, right? Like,
yeah,
how much is the money? Oh, is it? Of course, I did take note of you saying you wanted to help people, and a lot of real estate is about too. We've talked to guests about that having advocacies as well. But how much of it is for you is just you being interested in real estate, or was it the money? Was it helping people? What's your take on that?
yeah. At the beginning, it was the money. It's everybody talks about real estate, and it's been forever the way to go about investing. So yeah, at the beginning, getting into real estate, it was it's about the money, but always having on the back of my head that using that money farther along to help out family and others, So it hasn't been clear as of I wanna let's say I wanna like people say, yeah, I've known forever that I wanna make money to go and help these kids in Africa. Like it hasn't been something like that specific, which at some point you kind of want to do, but it's not something public like that where I want to do this for that. Like I want to help people, but it's not one specific route. Like trying to help the way I see help others is kind of like maybe in this conversation, maybe you having a situation that it's on your head only, you only know about it, but maybe me saying something that's gonna be like, huh, that's what I needed. That's how I kind of see it, like kind of having genuine conversations with people and trying to listen to a situation and kind of help you out one way or another. So that's where I say I guess that's my vision of helping others.
Would you say that real estate helps you as well? Because of course it helps others, but would you say it helps you as well?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, man. You learn, in in the game of real estate, you have conversations with all types of people. So you learn things, you teach other things, and the money at some point the money comes as a side effect of that, of those conversations in different situations. You getting creative on different things. Um and nowadays, a lot of people can say, yeah, it's not happiness or one thing or the other, but you need money to survive. So it's there.
You know, you, the way you speak and the way you talk about discipline and the quote that I mentioned, that's exactly what I get from you. Like, I'll be honest, it was like I kind of needed this. I needed that statement because it's like on one of that. Let me pull up the quote again, or like mention that again. I'm the type of person that wouldn't move unless the plan is perfect. It's not like I'm not doing anything, right?
Right.
But it's mainly like having to have everything perfect first before I jump into anything. And
Hmm.
then sometimes you commit to the first move and then you don't. What would you tell like someone like me who overthinks? Um, what would you tell me if I keep just planning and planning and don't execute? What advice would you give me?
Nike said it, bro. Nike said it, bro. Just do it. Can we curse? Is that? I mean, I'll just say fuck it. I just say fuck it, man. Do it. Stop doing it. What's your first? And actually, that's a conversation I've been having with a friend. That's always, how do we work together? How do we do one thing on that? It's like, bro, stop. Just do it. Do the first. What's the first thing you need to do? Do that. You know, if or kind of like what's the hardest of that that's keeping you from taking that first step, man. Just do it. You're gonna either see that it's either too hard and you're gonna switch your plans, or you're gonna find out that it's super easy and you're just overcomplicating and just do it, man. If the first step is making a phone call, man, just call.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy because it's what's the thing is hard, but it's simple.
Yeah. Oh, I got you there. You got me there. You got me there. Yeah,
Yeah,
it seems simple at first, but there's a lot of fear, but you just have to overcome it. And I guess also what I got is worst case scenario, you will learn, right?
yeah, yeah.
100%. Well, let's talk more about your deals. Let's move into the real estate. Let's talk into more detail about your first deal, or if it's not that interesting, what was your most interesting deal?
Most interesting deal, man. I see a couple of things, man, but I don't know about the most interesting. There was one we didn't get too close because there was a situation with fraud. It's a learning experience. We had a deal that came as a referral. Um, we're doing the marketing. Found out I found this really cool buyer. I'm always good on conversations and explaining things. And turns out that he did mention like that area was really prone to fraud happening lately. So we're like, kind of kind of always seeing the positive of things. You kind of like, obviously we'll take into account where right we'll double check on things, but we should be good, right? And he kind of went about it and did his own research and things. And um, at the end, yeah, we got to a point where we did some more digging and ended up that the buyer wasn't their buyer. When we reached out to I'm sorry, the seller wasn't a seller. When we found the right person, they're like, I'm not selling my land. What are you talking about? You're like, okay, well, so that didn't went through. But I'm trying to think of my first deal, man. That was a wholesale, but I don't even remember what it was. Um,
You
that's
said you
crazy.
went through traditional, it was a traditional route.
Well, no, my the home where I live was a traditional route. Um, is that what you mean? Like well, that wasn't really a first deal. I guess it was my first experience with real estate. Um, it was, you know what? It was one of those things also that I just said, fuck it, let's do it. Um, yeah, it was crazy, man. We're looking at I went and saw a few properties. I was working with a realtor friend that I've done multiple sold multiple houses to a couple of friends. So I was working with him and saw few properties, always thinking of, having a good backyard or whatever. Saw a few houses and made a few offers. Nothing happened. Actually, it was a good property. It was really nice. Where it's kind of thinking of as an investment strategy, but I didn't know anything about investing or things like that. So we made an offer and that didn't work. But I always kind of go back and if I knew better, would have gotten ahead of a few things. But things happen for a reason. But I was out of town, and the realtor called me and said, "Listen, I think I found a house for you." I was born in Colombia, a city that's called Cali. And this house, it was a brand new house, and turns out the model name of it was Cali. So the realtor was like, listen, I found this house for you just because it's a new build, it has the space, and the model actually has your city on it, so and I was like, yeah, I was like, hey man, send it over, so I saw a video of it, pictures. I showed up to the house before, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, man, let's do it. Send the offer, and it was a pretty good deal on terms of not putting much money down for it. So, but it was always I had kind of it was a lot more that I will have to pay than initially, thought of, or I guess the budget that was set from the beginning. But in my back of my head, I was like, fuck it, I'll figure it out. One of those things that, just, hey, I'm looking for something better, different. I'm gonna find something that's the reason why I'm moving. So let's jump. And man, turns out things came through, everything worked out, and shit, I got a brand new house, huge home. Most people say, like, man, most people start with a small apartment. You just went all in for almost a half mil and a half. So I was like, hey man, things are just gonna always kind of had that things are just gonna work out, man. One way or another, I either learn or you reset, or hey, just make it happen.
Obviously, it was, I believe you're blessed to be able to do that your first run, right? You're really blessed. But for me, it's also your hard work and the way you are, the way you talk to people. Um, I'm now interested in you mentioning that you discovered the creative space in real estate.
Yeah.
Right. Tell us the transition to that. What were the light bulb moments, and how did you discover the real estate creative space?
I found Pace Morby through YouTube videos. So I joined the sub two community, and just crazy to see that those kind of things were happen here in the US. Like like back in Colombia, there's people are always trying to find a way, one way or another, you always try to find a way to get things to work, but it's sort of a what's the word for that? Kind of having street mindset, not always being the legal way and the straightforward way that everybody says, but street smarts. Over there, people always trying to find, one way or another to figure things out. Um, so here it's kind of, rules are more enforced and things like that. So you don't always do it, People do it everywhere, but you kind of trying to stick with the rules and things like that. So um I found that community, some of the ways that they were doing things, and it was just kind of dope, man, to see that, you can own a house, or you can get started and get to different levels that sometimes, growing up on a different bracket of income, you just kind of see not ever happening on, doing a way, ton of work to be able to get to those levels. So it was kind of interesting and really motivational to be able, that you can do it, you know.
I see. And like, what was the, you said that you wish you knew these things. What was the biggest thing? What was the biggest thing that you wish you knew? Or what were, if there were several, what were the biggest things that you wish you knew when you started after discovering the creative space?
Man, the ability to make a different offer on a deal. Yeah, because like that, for example, that property I was telling you about, it was I think it was half an acre, but it was a smaller house on it. There was a mobile home in it, and there was space in the back to build a multifamily on it. So the even the realtor told me, was like, listen, the play was for you to live right here for a couple months. You know, the mobile home is probably going to pay for the mortgage while you get permits and stuff, and you build that multifamily in the back. And there was plenty of space for parking. And there was a, and it was even, and it's on a city that there's a lot of that happening, whereas there's a lot of, smaller, kind of co-living or live in smaller properties for people that just, go to sleep. And I think they were asking like 700 or 800K, I think. And I believe we offer 500. And the other thing with that, it was like for me, I wasn't making that much money. And you look at those numbers, it's like, man, that's a lot of fucking money. How am I gonna, yeah, even then it was like, yeah, we offer 500, but I was like, where am I gonna get 400K from, And even the lender, well, because we ran through a lender, and the lender said, yeah, they'll give you the money. But the seller didn't approve the offer. So it was like, but even then, it's like they didn't take the offer, and it was like, okay, that was it. They rejected, so that was it. But if I knew a couple more things, like, nah, man, let's talk with them and see what they want. How can we work this out? So it was a lot of stuff new for me that if I wish I knew of some of those things, would be like, okay, let's talk to them. Let's see what they want. How can we, how much do they actually need, or what's the problem that they have, and yeah, actually, I should look it up again, see where is that right now. I'm gonna write that
I
as a
think,
note, man.
yeah, give it as motivation, right? Well, what
Yeah.
first question this next question or idea is like a two-part. First is, where do you operate in now? Where do you usually do your dealings now? What state are you in?
Florida. Yeah, I'm a little bit more up north, towards like it's called the Treasure Coast, Port St. Lucie. But yeah, we work mainly Florida, but I do mainly dispositions. So my motto has always been, if you have a deal, if the numbers are good, we'll do the work and we'll figure it out.
Gotcha. Well, Miami real estate has been, well, quite recently, I think, I'm not sure I'm 100% updated about this, but back in 2024, 2025, Miami real estate has been more and more talked about in the markets in the US, right? What trends are
hmm
you paying attention to right now that others may have, maybe overlooking?
Man, nowadays wholesalers are crazy.
Oh,
Um, yeah, that's something we noticed lately. That people are asking too much money for some properties that you underwrite, and you're like, bro, there's no way. So there's the market changing, has some of that to do, of people, having to recognize expectations and know that a property isn't worth that much, or specifically in the situation that the house might be in, the condition. So, but we're looking, it's one of those things that you just kind of keep going, keep looking at deals until, that one deal shows up, and, you can make some money. So,
what niche in real estate are you eager to get into now? Because you mentioned dispositions, but of course we have novation. For us, it's flipping. We do a lot of flipping and again paying out in cash. For
uh-huh.
you, what works for you the best, or what niche are you maybe not yet doing and like or are planning to get into?
As a team, like my personally myself, just me alone, nothing specific. Something that I want to do in the long run is to invest in land. I want to just buy land and leave it as is. not even to build, just leave it. That's one of my mottos, one of my vision is to just buy land and leave it like that, don't touch it, Um, but we focus on, yeah, we're doing flips also in the Miami Broward area. But we get deals, single families, and we do creative, and we get a lot of land deals as well. So I've learned a lot on the land space, on what things to look for, with underwriting kind of utilities, um, spacing is a smaller lot for a house or is a big acreage for different things, big developments and things like that. So yeah, that's about it.
You're the director of dispositions, right? At Evergreen. Are you still the director of dispositions,
Yes.
Evergreen Real Estate Ventures? How did you get into Evergreen Real Estate? And I'll ask the question later. This might be too long of questions, but like, yeah, how did you get in there, and how's your position there now?
Pretty good, man. It was funny enough, man. It was the owner of Evergreen, someone that I've seen here and there on Facebook because of the community, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool to work one day with them. And we had a camping event for Sub Two down here in Florida, and then got a good connection with them. It's a different atmosphere than social media and stuff. So we got to talk, chat different things, and I told everybody, I was like, listen, that's what I'm going to focus on, just doing this position and things like that. But I don't know. Again, it kind of goes back to how I do things, I guess. I said that's what I'm going to do. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to be doing that. And then, good 2 or 3 days that we were there, and then after that, we connected again and said, "You listen, you want to join our team and do this point?" And I started, doing this position and, moved up to, dispo director. And ever since, just being a part of the team, always adding up to help others. We we're building a program, to have newbies, new people in real estate join us and learn by doing. So, we that's where we do our piece of helping others. And you help others, that kind of provides for the whole team as a whole. So it's been great. It's been great, man. I've learned a lot. Good friendships, and just continue doing the work every day.
Gotcha. For people unfamiliar with the role, for our audience who's unfamiliar with the role, what does your day to day actually look like?
My day to day, man, as I'm always connecting, I'm always on social media, on using multiple softwares to find buyers, for locations where we are interested in buying, or do we have other buyers in. So making those connections with those buyers and builders. So it's, through a phone call, text messages, understanding what people are investing in, and then other wholesalers that are looking to find a buyer. They come to us, so we always chatting with them, understanding if they actually have a deal or not, or if they're crazy asking prices. Um, and then once we have a deal on the team, once that deal comes in, double checking the numbers, and then starting to send those deals to our current buyers, um, doing more marketing for those. Um, so that's pretty much my day in a nutshell, man. I'm always talking to buyers, with the team, joining some of the meetings for others, connecting with acquisitions to based on feedback that I get from buyers, to adjust what kind of deals we're bringing in, and other wholesalers that are bringing in deals. Sometimes there's also kind of new people that are coming in the game and just getting the deal and putting crazy numbers, or sometimes daisy chains that you see. You always have to ask, is like, man, what are you doing?
Gotcha. Well, it seems like Evergreen focuses on, based on what you said, Evergreen seems like you guys focus on creative acquisition, as I would say, right? Creative
We do
acquisition.
both. We do
Oh, and
both.
disposition strategy as well. In today's market, what separates investors who survive from those who struggle? What do you think is different from those who survive?
It's interesting now, man, because the market changing. I guess depending on what market you're working on. Like I seen some people that are now buying lower because houses are longer on the market, so they have to take into account that. So it's kind of, I think it's knowing your numbers. Knowing your numbers, I think, is the thing that's it's gonna separate the successful investors now, especially with AI and technology, the way it's going. Um, and verifying things, man. Nowadays, there's a lot of fraud and fake stuff that you gotta, yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
You have a story in that? I mean, if you don't want to get into, you said it earlier, you had
Bro,
like the fraud.
with technology,
What's the craziest, even with
man.
technology, what's the craziest fraud or like fake deal or fake dealings that you experience? And what lesson can our audience get from you?
Well, honestly, man, now like it's crazy because people now they think that me being for a tech background, I'll be all in for AI and stuff, and I'm not, man. I'm always like, listen, one day the energy is gonna stop working, bro. What are people gonna do?
Believe you. Go back to people. 100%.
Yeah, and most people don't even know how to handle people nowadays. The new
It's pretty crazy.
generations don't. Yeah, it's nuts. Um, So I'm iffy with technology still. I'm using some of the stuff with AI, not just technology, but AI. Um, because there I always believe that we gotta keep on that personal human touch of things, of knowing how to do things with your hands rather than everything with AI. Because everybody's leaning on AI doing it for you because it gives you more time to do things. But when the day comes that everything stops working, man, people are gonna go,
You tell me.
yeah, yeah,
So, oh, that I'm actually an AI specialist, or used. I still am. But used to be mainly for the creative side, like graphic design and video as well. We used to
okay,
work at the back end of that one. What I've learned is if you're fully on AI, it's usually you're on the scam side, just trying to sell stuff. And to really be honest with you, like I don't want to get into the detail. We were doing legal stuff anyway, but it was just on the border of that, if you know what I'm saying. Like almost like
yeah,
fooling people. Although we were mentioning that we were using AI, but that was from a different
yeah,
company anyway. But yeah, you are totally right in that. You are 100% correct. We both, well, we all use AI. I use AI, but I just use it for bullet points. You know, get that idea, but the human touch is still there. You're 100% right. I
mhm,
agree. It's going to crash. People are predicting
yeah,
next 2 years. It's just the corporate. It's just going to like trade all of that stuff. And like us real people, we're going to stick to like us real people. Speaking of
yeah,
real people, I feel honestly, man, I want to say it. I feel very relaxed talking to you, and you seem like you have a talent in talking to people honestly. So speaking and chatting and communicating, was that always natural for you? Because it seems like, or did you have to learn it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I always, oh, it's one of those things that sometimes I kind of go back to say like, what's my purpose? Kind of like, am I supposed to be a speaker? Am I supposed, to be able to, have conversations like that? Or sometimes I'm always like I'm a good listener, or having good deep conversations, and sometimes like how do I take advantage of this? Like I haven't figured out how to what's the guess what's the way to make it, not just thinking about the money, but how do I make it to take advantage of my talents? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Not really. Very relaxed right now. And like, well, I want to get deep into it because like part of the podcast for me, because of being the creator of this podcast, is really again getting to know people. Were you always? I want to stick to this topic. Were you friendly with your friends? Did people like really gravitate toward you? Do you have stories like that? Because I think a lot of people
yeah,
can learn from being more amiable.
yeah. I think I've been, yeah. I always try to see the good side of things, and I'm very observant though. I like to observe, like when I meet a group of people or something. I'm kind of the quiet person, just kind of observing what you do. um Sometimes it's a bad thing because sometimes you kind of make because sometimes you make bad judgment of what someone just maybe the environment or something that someone might not act themselves, um especially in today's world. But so I like to observe and kind of based on that kind of approach. But yeah, man, I always think I've been outgoing, easy to talk to, and I like to get into deep conversations. I think it's pretty cool. I think I do have a limit though, because sometimes go crazy when you start deep conversation on religion and politics, and sometimes it's like, listen, man.
I don't think that's deep. I think that it could be deep, but like those things are like there's no. I don't want to say there's no purpose. We have intellectual conversations with those, but it's like sometimes
Yeah,
you got to ask yourself, why are we talking about this? Like, it's not like we
yeah,
can do anything about this. I agree with you. Like I'm. You can have your standpoint, I can have mine, but there's no judgment, and then we get to a
right.
point where it's like, let's talk about something else, brother. Right? Let's talk about something that we.
Yeah,
This is what this podcast is about. I hope when you get to see the other guests as well, I like to pivot into that. Who? That's my first question. Who are you guys? Because it's like real estate. You can Google that. You can have a lot of real estate podcasts. That's what we like to do differently here. And well, you already answered my with the supposed second question. You are outgoing. I was supposed to ask, are you naturally shy? Obviously, you're not, but you're calm. That's what I get from you. Speaking of
yeah.
doing things differently, what do you think you do differently? Whether it be in real estate or communicating people, what do you think you do differently? Um, yeah.
When I see people jumping into something that just because someone famous or known says something, I try to be like, wait, I'm not gonna do that just because everybody's doing it. And I try to find, and I always kind of stop myself and think, okay, let me see what other strategies there to do. Like, for example, in the creative community, they might be, it's one of those things that people don't understand as like from a speaker when they do big events. They always say things in general because they can't really be specific because everybody's different, right? But sometimes in those speeches, people are like, oh no, we got to do this because he said it. So everybody jumps in and goes into that one strategy. And me, I'm always like, wait, I'm not going to follow. It's kind of that image where it says you follow the crowd or you do that one thing separate. That's me. I'm always like, okay, I'm not going to do that. Even if it's the right thing to do, I'm going to go the other side because at one point that's just going to get too crowded. So I'm going to try to find the other way to go about it. I think that's where maybe I always that do things differently. Yeah.
Doing things differently by choosing the different route, right? And I
Hmm.
think you're naturally a creative because at first I would think like you're very technical. You said look at the numbers and you're a software guy, but I think you're naturally creative as well, right? Do you do stuff like creatively as well outside of real estate or with real estate as well? What are the things that spark your creativity?
It's funny, man. I like creative things, but like I don't think I ever sit down and be like, okay, let me be creative. Like I don't. How do I just be creative? But I always had that thought in my head that I could be creative, but like how do I do it? How do I sit here and get started on being creative? But yeah, man, I like doing I don't know if you ever seen those epoxy projects where you do like tables or different things. I love those things. Woodwork. I haven't done one yet. I'm still in the watching video of I actually have stuff that I can start doing it because of that. Because I'm always obviously got it, the income money and haven't taken the time to just do that. There's always something happening that I haven't taken the time to sit myself and do that, be creative. But yeah,
I don't
somewhere
think
in
you
there.
I don't think you need to because I like what I said. I think you're naturally creative. And like, if you go with your own philosophy and just do it, I think natural creativity plus just doing it. And I watched some of those. I don't know if you're familiar with the YouTube channel, Evan and Kale or Evan and Forgot those the husband and wife who like to play with epoxy and resin stuff. So you want to check
Yeah,
that out. We're
nowadays there's
working
so many. Yeah,
so many, right, but it's
yeah,
amazing. Like it's very satisfying to watch that. And like, well, hopefully, if you get to attend a second episode here, I'd like to talk about that, like more personal stuff. But
yeah.
um, you said those motivational speakers. I want to get to that because like that's kind of runs personal to me too. A lot of motivational speakers are like, again, general. Some of them actually talk about motivation and doing it, but they don't do it. They do it in the most motivational, speaky way because to sell their product, but it's
Yeah.
they're not really like going above and beyond. And who reminds me is Gary Vaynerchuk. He likes to talk
Uh-huh.
about the general stuff, but when he goes into the crowd, he talks about the specific. What's your life situation? What's your what are you spending on right now, and here's what you got to
Yeah.
do. And a lot of people consume motivational content but never act on it. From
Hmm.
your experience, Diego, what's the difference between, I mean, we might just be repeating this, but I really like that. What's the difference between people who truly execute and those people who stay stuck outside of just doing it?
Right, right. Well, honestly, man, it's I don't know if it's just a time of life, but I have the mindset of I had the thought for a while. For example, when they say you got to wake up at 4 a.m. every day, and that's the way to go about things. There's most of the speakers talk about that, right? Get started early, do all your grounding and stuff like that, and then do whatever. But sometimes I'm like, but why? Why? What if just doing it later is the same thing about it? And it's like if you put your mind to it, you could still do it. You don't have to. Everybody just say, yeah, you gotta wake up at 5 a.m. and get your day started early. Like you could still. Maybe it's that questioning part of it, like why? And I guess when you talk to some of those people, if you get the chance to talk to some of them personally, it's one of those things that it worked for them, but it might not work for me. And they might tell you that. It's because they work for them, it's one route, but it might not work for me. You still got to try it kind of to see if it's your thing, but it's like, oh, but why?
It's a good one. It's a good one. Asking why is like, if you answer that question why, right? You'll do it regardless of whatever, if it's for you or not, right? You'll still do
Yeah.
it. And I think that's what I got from that. And now, last question about like motivation or like real estate as well. What's one misconception people, because obviously you've been in the creative space. What's one misconception people have about real estate investing? After watching social media content online, what's the one misconception that you've gotten?
Um, it's just lack of knowledge. I think, yeah, it's just lack of knowledge. Some people, I guess, on the creative side of things, is just not knowing that those things can be done, or especially now with all the AI content, you can't really know what's real or not. So it's and at the end, it kind of goes back to just take a chance. Sometimes it's harder. It's a bigger decision if you're dealing with your house, or financial things with your life. So it's a bigger risk of doing something. But I think it's just the lack of knowledge. So, but like something specific as a misconception, I don't know. Couldn't give you one. I think it's just the lack of knowledge on people, you know, how things work, or how that things are possible as long as you do them right.
But how do you do it right? Right. I guess that's part of the journey. That is
Yeah,
part of the journey.
exactly. Yeah. Because even just the previous question, right? You said, but why? But sometimes you might be asking yourself too much why, and just do it.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Too many. And if you've answered a lot of them, but like still why? Yeah, yeah. That is
Yeah. Yeah.
could be crazy.
And
Well,
I don't know if you heard of it, but there's a thing of I heard two people mention it. speakers that kind of go about it like find your why. It's kind of like go. I think there's got to be someone big that said it, but it's kind of like go deep down into 7 levels of whys to try to find why you're doing something. It's kind of like I want to lose weight, why? And then based on the answer, ask again why. Kind of go, you find that real why, but who said that you have to go the 7 levels, or maybe you find it in the second one. But yeah, 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 that could be yours. But then are you overthinking stuff?
You got me there.
Yeah,
That's why your quote hit me. It's like that's kind of like me as well. It's like, I've answered why, but I ask again and like then create another plan based on that question and why. And like, just
yeah.
I think doing it and like just jumping straight into it, calculated risk, as I would say. That's what I'm getting from you. Now,
Mhm.
we've been
Yeah.
talking about a lot of questions. I want more stories from you, of course, Diego. Let's talk about wins and challenges. Let's talk about the wins first. What's your biggest win? Whether it be deal in life or like learnings, what's a story that you can share with us that is you believe is your biggest win in life for now?
I think buying my first house. I think that's a big win because I didn't before years before that. I used to drive around the area where I bought my house, and I used to say one day I'm gonna own a house like that. I never planned or did things to get there um, on purpose, but I one of those things that I always said I'm gonna own a house like that. And yeah, it was funny because the other I was thinking about it is like I never been spiritual in one sense that I always like praying to God or things like that. Because people say, yeah, no, pray to God that you're gonna get it. Um, and I always been like, no, man, like I just gotta do the work. What am I praying for? It's a different, there's a different conversation. But yeah, I think that was my biggest win, man, because I said I'm gonna own a house like that, and I just kind of subconsciously did the work. And yeah, when I walked in, I was like, fuck, this is my house. Well, it's the bank's, but yeah.
The next one is, yeah, gotcha. And like,
Yeah.
I guess it's prayer and work as well, right? Prayer and work, right? To have that strength and like just do it, right? Just doing it as well. I think it
Yeah.
always goes back to that. Prayer for me is like not just, waiting for something to fall down. Prayer is mainly for yourself as well. You can pray to whatever God, of course, right?
Yeah.
And I respect that, of course, but like for me, prayer is also telling yourself, like giving yourself that strength, right? Giving yourself that strength to move to that. And now for the challenges. I want to talk about the challenge. What's one of the toughest challenges you've faced professionally or personally that forced you to grow?
Man, right now, man, I'm going through a process right now. I actually got laid off my job about a month ago, I think now. Yeah, a little bit over a month. And for a while I've been saying if I get fired, good, because I get to spend more time on real estate, which is what's gonna, make things actually happen. Um, but then it was like, yo, here we go. You're out. I was like, oh shit. And now I gotta it was kind of mixed emotions at the when it happened because it was like, fuck, man, I wasn't expecting this. Like I was too comfortable, being honest. I was and I knew that I was. So I needed something different. That's why I kept saying, if I get fired, good, because it'll kick me away from that comfortable stage that I can move and do something. So I did a job interview with somebody in that something just came out real quick, somebody I knew. And no prepare or nothing, man. I did the interview and I was like, fuck, man, I'm doing all this, asking all these stupid questions of how things work. And I'm like, listen, man, I know how to do it. I don't know how it works, but I know how to do it. And then obviously I failed a test and I was like, but still, I'm gonna switch to work for somebody else again. So why not just keep building my thing? So I made the executive decision, man. I'm just gonna push hard, keep doing my thing from what I've been doing. And here I am, man, pushing every day to make some money. There's nothing for sure that's coming in. So it's scary, scary, of things that, have to change. Change is always good. So scared for things that have to change. Me having to push myself more. So it's been challenging learning a few things. Some things that you speak of and you share and you read, but when you're actually in it, it's a whole different story. Like the quotes, like I like to share the quotes because as a daily reminder of people that are doing the work, or maybe like you said, you don't know who's gonna read and be like, oh man, that's me. That's what I needed. Sometimes someone recently said, I was like, listen, you share all these quotes and you're not doing this. I was like, well, that's right. It also a reminder for me to do some of those things. So it doesn't mean that I'm the perfect person doing it all, because I'm sharing one thing. So it's every day. I always say, some people think I'm joking when we're like, when we start a conversation like, hey, how are you? I always said, hey, another day in paradise. When I used to be on my W-2, people be like laugh about it, thinking that it was a joke of saying we have to be at work. And I'm like, nah, man, it is another day in paradise, bro. We woke up, take the sun, live another day. So I always take it like that, man. Every day I'm like, hey, it's another day in paradise. We're healthy, we're good looking, we just gotta do the work.
100% agree with the good looking part, brother. 100%.
Yeah.
And like the smile is like everything is there. I would like to say that I think that helps as well when you communicate, right? That smile of yours is really like what we. So a little bit of compliment there. But have you ever experienced being burnt out, or moments where you questioned your direction? I mean, of
Oh
course, the,
yeah.
the one you just shared is like just like a wake up call, right? But
Yeah.
if ever you felt burned out, how did you work through it?
Yeah, man. Sometimes just hit the weights or have a beer.
You know, two different, opposing ideas, right?
Depends on what it is, man. But yeah, it could be, yeah, man. Sometimes it's just mental, you know? Yeah, you just gotta maybe step away, do something different. Nature. I really enjoy nature. So that's one that always kind of like to step out into the quiet or just the sounds of nature to kind of walk out, think on things, and you know move. It's always, sometimes it's interesting because sometimes you might feel like you're burned out, but sometimes it's just your body asking for a release of, I don't know, something natural. Sometimes you just work out and you sweat it out, and that's it. You kind of, all right, let's keep going.
Gotcha. And it's like that's what I like about your quotes as well, by the way. It's not just, go, go, go. Either you have it or you don't. Then I read some of your quotes and says, and it says, sometimes you gotta rest too, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
resting is part of moving forward as well. That's what I like about your quote. That's a lot of people like, because sometimes when you're, especially for newbies or like people who, are taking their first step into motivation, they wake up and like motivation is fleeting, right? But discipline is, and consistency is more important, as what people would always say. So that's one big thing that I
Yeah.
really like about what you say in your quotes.
Yeah, man. I recently came to a situation where that came to mind. Like, man, mental health, it's big nowadays. Everything that we're being fed through social media is telling you one thing, but and then your mind, you're like going one way or another. You gotta do this the right way. You gotta look at this type of woman. You gotta follow this type of guys. Millionaires and things. And if you don't, I think it's on the personal development side, man. I never been much of a book reader. I want to be, but I just kind of, my mom told me earlier on, if I want to go to sleep, read a book. So every time I pick up a book, I fall asleep. Something I got to get better at. But personal development, man, it's important for your mind, um, to learn. It's crazy nowadays, man. Just a couple of days went through a situation with somebody that was helping me do a business. Um, and I don't know where the guy just went crazy. And I was like, man, what the fuck just happened? Cool person at some point and just kind of going all crazy. And that's where I started posting I started getting into sharing some quotes regarding mental health. because it's crazy nowadays, man. It's easier to talk about business, real estate, and things like that, and money, and not even kind of take a chance to stop and make sure that you're okay. So yeah, taking time to work on you, and it's not just physically, but also mentally. Yeah, I think it's key nowadays.
Gotcha. And that's it. We don't know the key. You don't know when you're about to go crazy, right? That's the scary part.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if you're not
Gotta,
if you're not stopping, yeah, if you're not taking a break, they say, yeah, you gotta hustle, and do the work, but I think there's got to be a minute, man. You gotta chill out.
yeah, true, true. I agree 100%. Chill out while maintaining your goal. Speaking of goal, how big is your
Yeah.
team and what's your long-term goal now?
How big is my team?
Yeah, you got a team or you solo flight?
No, I'm working. Yeah, no, we're what 6, 7 people. Um, Long-term goal, man. The goal is to be able to buy land, to have a good income on the flips or investment opportunities that are coming in. Um, Actually, the goal is to have a business that's cash flowing enough that I don't have to be wholesaling deals here and there. So that's one of the main goals, is to have a business that's gonna I own, cash flow, and be able to buy land, man. I think that's my as part of my vision statement. Just something new for me is to that's my piece of, how do I call it? Um, Not support, but granito de arena, like a grain of sand to help the world, is to buy land and just leave it as is, man. Because it's what we breathe, and the animals. Where, yeah, man, we're destroying the earth. So my my little grain of sand is just to be able to get to a point where I could just buy land and that's it. Maybe one while I'll put a house for me to go and enjoy nature, but the rest just leave it like it is. It's So there's no money coming in from there, because people say, and yeah, people are always saying, "Oh, you buy a land, how you gonna get money?" It's like, no, man, that's not the idea.
Gotcha. It's like not only live in nature, and I think you have plans, maybe like grow it as well. But that could be a thing too, right? Like a land that's like you can like expand into more like nature. Kind of like
Yeah,
what do you call that? I forgot as well. It's like conservation, maybe, right? Kind of like
yeah,
natural conservation. That's a really good advocacy. I'd like to
yeah.
wait for that. And maybe in the future, I'd like to hear from that, and like I'll be the first person. Hey, I got to talk to that guy. This is the point of this podcast. I'll tell you more about that later. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. Now, I asked this question every guest because we're keeping a tally. We don't know where this will lead for content, but I'm really fond of this question. In the ideal world, you'll have the right amount of confidence and the right amount of skill. We know that. But if you were to lean toward just one, which is more important to you, skill or confidence?
Confidence.
Nice. Okay. Very different from the past guests. Tell me more about that. No right or wrong answer, by the way. Why confidence?
Because you'll just do it. Sometimes I think, and this is just coming out of my head right now, not something I haven't thought about before, but if you have a skill of doing something, you won't jump into doing something else because you don't know how to do it. But if you're confident enough that you'll figure it out or learn on the way, you'll just go ahead and do it. Yeah. Huh. That's pretty deep.
Right. Yeah, I like that. I like that. And like you are. Yeah, that's quite different from the past guests. And again, no right or wrong answer
Yeah,
with that
no,
one.
hey,
Really
man.
good.
Everyone's
Again, both are
different.
important. Both are important. And like that's why
Yeah.
it's a really interesting question, a really interesting answer. We'll definitely have that out for the shorts. Now, I don't want to eat more of your time, Diego, but what would be your last statement for our audience? Last statement, motivation, a story, or anything like that? What's the last thing you would like to say to our audience?
Take care of your mental health. And stop overthinking things. Obviously, what you call it calculator risk. Um, Sometimes it's good. Sometimes just jump and do it, man. Do the hard things. Is the quote from some guy I saw on YouTube. I can't remember. I don't want to take, I guess rights and things like that, but do the hard thing. Sometimes the real estate is just making a phone call. You figure it out that you make it and oh, that was it. Okay. Could be talking to somebody somewhere, just do it. It's hard. What was it? What did I say? It's simple, but it's hard. So yeah, I guess that's it. I guess a few nuggets of things I learned. So
It's a great way to end the podcast. Thank you very much, Diego, for your time. And 100% appreciated. And you filled what our podcast is aiming to do. Thank you.